Hey everyone, this is the deck tech for green-white middle-aged kid.
Medium-aged kid?
Medium-aged kid.
Called Adolescent Aggro.
Adolescent aggro, yeah. This is for a 12 to 14-year-old range. It's not little kid, it's just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is basically a green-white creature deck with a black splash for Lingering Souls, Siege Rhino, a couple of removal spells.
And?
Yeah, seize them.
Thoughts.
Seize their thoughts.
Yeah.
I've heard that...
Carpe thoughts.
Yeah. I've heard that every dream is a robust harvest, but maybe that's just me.
Oh, I don't even... No, I don't care.
It is, but yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at the deck and see what we have here. So to start things off, we have 4 birds, 4 noble hierarch, and these serve as our acceleration and mana fixing so that we can cast some of these bigger things. And the main thing is like a turn 2 Lux on Smiter is really good against a lot of decks. It bashes through pretty much all creatures. It's good against Remand. It's good against Liliana, etc. So Smiter's actually pretty good in the format right now. I think that Anafenza is also very good, but they did not play Anafenza in their deck.
Well, Anafenza does just like get ranched by Remand sometimes, and Lux on Smiter just fighting straight through Remand is great.
Yeah, no, I do like that, and I think that I wouldn't cut the Smiters, but I'd probably cut like the Kitchen Finks for Anafenza, because I'm not sure that you really need the Finks in this style of deck.
Sure.
But anyway, that aside, I do like the fact that you can play like a turn 2 Smiter, and it's good enough against a lot of decks, especially if you follow it up with either a Wiltleaf Liege, which lets your Smiter attack for 6, or a Siege Rhino, which does its own thing. So
Yeah. I mean, this deck has a lot of really troublesome creatures for any deck that's trying to control you.
Yeah.
Voice of Resurgence, Kitchen Finks, these are cards that can survive against a Liliana Neg, which is great. I think that is one of the reasons why they were playing Kitchen Finks over Anafenza, was specifically because they thought that Liliana would be huge in this tournament.
Yeah, like this deck is an Abzan deck that is built to beat other Abzan decks. There's a couple copies of Pride Mage, which is just there basically as another 2-drop that you can play, but it also has other applications as being a good game 1 card against like Affinity and also Splinter Twin. You can sit on a mana open and keep them off of twinning you, and then hopefully your big fat creatures are going to be good enough to win the game like beyond that point.
Yeah.
And then there's also 4 Lingering Souls, which are really key for all the grindy matchups as another way to grind people out. And also just even fight opposing Lingering Souls, too. Sometimes, if you just have like a Smiter draw and your opponent draws like multiple Lingering Souls, like they're probably going to be able to beat you. But if you have your own souls to combat theirs, that's like really important. And they also play very well with Gavany Township.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're looking to win the Lingering Souls battle, Gavany Township is definitely the place to do it. This deck feels like it can go super over the top of any other mid-range deck just because of Gavany Township, but you do have a lot of these very resilient, high-impact creatures too. So I'm very much looking forward to see how this deck plays out.
Yeah, I think this deck's really good. You also have like a couple Thoughtseizes, just a handful, just to keep people honest, I guess.
Yeah.
And then 4 Path to Exile, which is probably just the best removal spell for this deck. Deals with pretty much all the problems that would normally plague a deck like this, namely things like Wormcoil Engine, Splinter Twin, etc. Just having access to Path is pretty key. Mana base is pretty straightforward. Got a bunch of fetches, 3 duels we can search with them, a lot of basics, and Gavany Township, which is pretty much the main call for the deck. So
Cool. All right.
let's go ahead and look at the old sideboard and see what delights we have there.
There's a few.
There are some.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we are back with the sideboard, and there are some unique choices in the sideboard.
The old one of Leyline of Sanctity?
Yeah, old Miser's Leyline of Sanctity.
I guess you can cast it sometimes if you draw it later.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why you would want just one Leyline, but I mean, it's good against burn and like can be good against Scapeshift and stuff, but still, yeah, I don't know. I'd probably play more or none. I do like a lot of the cards in the sideboard, though. I like the Chokes a lot. Just a really powerful card that can let you just go over the top of all kinds of blue decks. There's a number of them. Feed the Clan, I think, is okay as a one-of against like a deck like Burn. I think that the Landfall Gain 8 card might be better.
Rest for the Weary?
Rest for the Weary, just because the matchups where you're trying to feed the Clan, like, I don't know if you're necessarily going to be able to guarantee that you have a like Smiter in play. I mean, probably, but like
I would assume that you can play a Smiter pretty easily, like before you just die.
Yeah.
You know, and 10 is a little bit more than 8.
a
But
little
even
bit,
if you're not landfalling, like 5 is still more than 4.
I guess, yeah.
I don't know. It's really close. I don't think it's that relevant.
It probably doesn't really matter either way. Like, if you resolve it, you're probably going to win either way.
Yeah.
So, a couple of removal spells. We have a Slaughter Pact and Abrupt Decay that can just supplement the paths in our main deck for matchups where we want those. Some Thought Seizes as well for like combo matchups. Stony Silence for Tron and
Affinity.
Sorin is just another good card for like grindier matchups. Just another way to kind of go over the top of them.
Pretty good against Burn too.
It
you
is.
have like one guy.
Yeah.
Just like one. I'll gain 5.
Yeah, gain 5 or 6 or whatever. And then I actually really like Zealous Persecution. I think it's a really good card in the format. It's good against Affinity, and it can be good in just a number of random situations, like even protecting your guys from like sometimes like burn spells or whatever, or just killing like Lingering Souls tokens or whatever. I think that Persecution is actually a pretty innocuous card that's actually really powerful. And then there's a couple of Chalice of the Voids, and I honestly don't know why there's Chalice of the Void in the sideboard.
See, I think Kibler built this deck before the bannings were announced, and he was already locked into his 75 for the tournament.
Okay, yeah.
And Chalice just so happened to be really good against Blue Red Delver. And he's just like, YOLO.
Yeah.
Kibler YOLO moment.
Yeah, I don't really like the Chalice of the Voids here. I guess they're okay against like Burn.
Storm seems like an unwinnable matchup, right? Like,
Yeah.
But having maybe like a Chalice on 2 against them can win the game. It also is pretty good against Burn because almost their entire deck costs 1 mana. So if you can cast, Chalice for 1 on turn 2, like usually that'll buy you a ton of life. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's probably a better hate card for both of those matchups, but
some splash damage. I mean, like
I'd
I
rather,
said earlier, like Modern's super random sometimes.
Yeah.
And having cards that can be good in a number of situations is important, I think. So.
yeah, I guess so. But anyway, I do like a lot of the aspects of the sideboard. There are a couple things I'd probably change, but I do think it looks pretty sweet, and I'm excited to battle with this deck. So hopefully you guys will stick around and watch our hopefully awesome games.
I'm going to get smashed.